Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you the television tag. The television tag is a tag that, surprise surprise, is focused all around TV and TV shows. The original tag was created by Kaylee Hyde. I will leave a link to that original video down below for you guys to check out. I wasn't tagged by anyone, but I have mentioned, I think it was in my 2018 goals video, that's something that I've been wanting to do and I've been meaning to do since the beginning of my channel, is talk more about TV and movies on my channel. And I saw a few people from BookTube doing this tag and thought that this would be a great way to kind of introduce some talk about TV into my channel. So let's jump straight in and answer all of these questions surrounding television shows. So question number one is just, what are your favorite shows? So I have 5 shows that I generally consider to be my favorites, and this is made up of only shows that I have watched the entirety of the show. So I've watched the entire thing from start to finish, and these are all shows that are completed, like that are no longer on the air, and in fact none of them are really that recent at all, really. So the 5 shows are One Tree Hill. I really loved One Tree Hill. Gilmore Girls, of course, a classic. Everybody loves Gilmore Girls. I will say, having said that I've seen the complete thing, I have not watched the recent 4 episodes or whatever it was that they released of Gilmore Girls. I haven't watched that yet, but I have watched the original 7 seasons. Charmed was a big favorite of mine. Dawson's Creek was the first show that I was ever really obsessed with. As a teenager, I remember very distinctly throwing a tantrum at well over the age that you can chuck a tantrum. I was about 13 or 14, and we were out somewhere and we weren't going to get home in time to watch Dawson's Creek, and I absolutely lost my shit. So I also had, as a teenager, you have posters all over your walls and things like that. I had one entire wall of my bedroom that was dedicated to Dawson's Creek. Yeah, and a lot of that was a lot of it was posters, but it was also really shitty quality pictures that I had just printed off on my family's printer off the internet, and had stuck so that there were little pictures and big pictures. It was just a whole big Dawson's Creek wall going on. But my number one favorite show of all time is definitely Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm sure you all knew that. I've mentioned it on my channel quite a few times. It is my favorite show and has been my favorite show for a really long time, and I can't imagine that there's ever a show that I will watch that I will like more than Buffy. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite genre? I don't really have a favorite genre. Again, with reading, I have pretty varied tastes in my TV watching. I really enjoy supernatural type shows, about witches and vampires and that type of thing. I really enjoy teen drama because I don't know what it is about teen drama, but teens and all their high school petty kind of bullshit, I live for it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't really have that much teen drama as a teen myself. I don't know, but I love it. I also really do enjoy thrillery murder mystery type shows as well. Anything with a mystery aspect to it, I do really enjoy. So they're probably those are quite varied in and of themselves, but I don't really have a number one favorite. Question number 3 is your least favorite show. I don't have an answer for this. There is no show that I could think of that I won't watch, or that when it comes on I'm ugh, this show. I really couldn't think of anything for this answer, so I don't really have a least favorite. Question number 4 is your most rewatched show / your favorite show to binge watch. And again, I have to go with Buffy for this. I have seen Buffy all the way through 6 or 7 times at least. And that's just when I've watched it kind of from season 1 all the way through to season 7. I've seen obviously a lot of episodes just here or there on top of that. I have seen every bit of special features that are contained on the DVDs that I own. I've watched every episode that has commentary. I've watched the episodes with commentary. And that's the only show that I've never watched anything with commentary except for Buffy. It's my favorite. And I love I've mentioned it in all of my vlogs. If you watch my vlogs, you may know I'm currently doing a rewatch of Buffy and Angel at the same time with my sister. She has seen it before, but only once and doesn't remember a lot of it. I've seen it a whole bunch of times. So yeah, it is definitely my favorite show to binge watch and rewatch. Question number 5 is, do you prefer to watch shows week to week or to binge watch? Binge watch easily. One of my favorite things about watching older shows that have already completed is like getting all of it on DVD or whatever and having the entire show that you can just sit there and, if you're so inclined, watch it all the way through. Like, I remember back in the days when there were shows that I loved that were on TV week to week, and, you know, having to wait for that next episode. Or in Australia, we had a lot of problems back in the day, not so much now, but with the shows that we, like, were American shows, obviously, that we'd get a few episodes and then for some reason it would just go off the air, or it would change nights. Like, the amount of shows that I've seen the beginning of and then it would have changed nights and I couldn't watch it anymore, and so I never saw any more of it, is just crazy ridiculous. So yeah, I definitely, like, binge watching is just the only way to go in my opinion. Apologies if we've just had a camera angle switch. I ran out of space on my memory card. But jumping into question 6. Question 6 is, what are your favorite TV characters? I have a lot of favorite TV characters. Like, I could sit here all day and tell you about different characters that I really, really love. My favorite character from Angel is Wesley. My favorite character from Gossip Girl is Blair Waldorf. My favorite character from Charmed is Phoebe. Phoebe is by far the best of the sisters, in my opinion. My favorite character from Buffy, he's really hard, but he's probably Giles. I feel like is an unpopular opinion. I feel like everyone either loves Willow or Anya or Spike. But Giles is an underrated character in my opinion, and he is my favorite. Again, I'm probably going to stop there because I could go on about different characters for forever. Question number 7 is your favorite TV ships. This question was designed for me. I had planned at one point to do a video completely on my favorite OTPs. Because TV OTPs is where One True Pairings, for anyone who didn't know, is where, like, I really first, like, became a shipper of characters together. I do occasionally, like, ship people in books, but nowhere near with the same intensity as what I will ship someone in a television show. So some of my favorite ships, like, kind of all time, are Lorelai and Luke from Gilmore Girls. I'm not saying at all whether these characters are together or whatever at the end of the show, so no spoilers or anything, but these are just, like, characters that as I was watching the show, I really, really wanted, like, I envisioned as endgame. So Lorelai and Luke from Gilmore Girls, Donna and David from Beverly Hills 90210, Piper and Leo from Charmed, Nathan and Haley from One Tree Hill were a ship that I was really invested in, but my number one OTP of all time, I can't see that there'd ever be a pairing that I was more invested in than this pairing, is Pacey and Joey from Dawson's Creek. It's a pretty popular ship and there's a reason for it. I was obsessed. I remember having a massive argument with a friend in high school because she was a shipper of Joey and Dawson. We had, like, a massive argument about it, but that, like journey and, like, romance, I'm not saying whether it's endgame, but for me, it was endgame. I was so invested. Like, there were tears shared, there were moments of joy, like, it was just a lot going on for me with that. It's probably because it came at that point in my life, like, I was a teenager. You can become, like, that emotionally invested into random people's romance, but Pacey and Joey is just where it was at. Question number 8 is show you could never get into. The only one I could really think of for this is Frasier. It's just a show that I've never really been interested in watching. Like, when episodes come on, I don't dislike it necessarily, but I'll change the channel. But, like, if someone else wanted to watch it, I could sit there and watch it. But I've just never gotten into it. Whereas a lot of those kind of sitcoms from around that time, I did get really into because my parents watched them, like Seinfeld, for example. I really love Seinfeld because it's something my parents loved, and I can watch episodes of Seinfeld to this day. I find it a hilarious television show. But Frasier is just one that I just never really I just don't think I never really got it, to be honest. Question number 9 is show you fell out of love with. I don't have any shows that I completely fell out of love with in terms of that I actually stopped watching them, but I do have a couple of shows that I want to mention that I don't think, that I think went downhill, if you know what I mean. So first off, we have the OC. There are 4 seasons of the OC, and I think it probably should have stopped after the 3rd season. There is a big event at the end of the 3rd season. I won't say what it is because I don't want to spoil anyone, but if you've seen the OC, then you know what I'm talking about. And so once that big event kind of happened, I don't know, the 4th season really didn't live up to the first 3, in my opinion. I still enjoy it, and when I watch the show, I watch all 4 seasons, but I don't think it lived up to the rest of the show. True Blood is another example. I haven't seen the final season, so do not spoil me. I actually don't know how it ends, but for me, 7 seasons, right? So seasons 1 through 6, which I have seen, there was no season better than the first season of that show. There's a whole mystery aspect running through that kind of first season about who is the murderer, and once they kind of lost that part of the story, I don't think any of the seasons after that were as strong. And there's one season, I can't remember if it's season 5 or 6, that was really downhill. Like I said, I haven't seen how it ends yet, and I do plan to watch the final season eventually, but yeah, that show definitely wasn't as strong. Glee is another example. Again, I haven't finished Glee. I've seen the first 4 seasons, and I've still got seasons 5 and 6. That's the next show that I'm actually planning to finish. But I think after the point of the show where the main cast kind of finish high school, I definitely don't think that the show was anywhere near as strong. But like I say, again, I haven't seen how it ends. And then another show that I think went downhill is Revenge, which again, I haven't finished. So there's 4 seasons of that. I haven't seen the 4th season, but it was one of those shows that I think probably should have ended sooner because of the nature of the type of show that it is. It got a little bit ridiculous as the show went on, and I actually remember the big event that happened right at the end of the 3rd season. I remember sitting there watching it and going, what the fuck? Seriously, this is just so past the point of any level of believability at this point. But again, I haven't seen the final season, so I can't really judge it. Question number 10 is cancelled too soon. So obviously TV shows that you think were cancelled too soon. I have 2 main answers for this one, and my first one, I know my friend Emma, if you're watching this, is going to 100% agree with me, and that is Dark Angel. So Dark Angel is the TV show that kind of shot Jessica Alba to fame before her movie fame, and there were 2 seasons of Dark Angel, and then it was cancelled. And the worst part about it being cancelled was that the 2nd season ends on a cliffhanger, and so we just never going to find out what happens next. And it was a really enjoyable show, and I was really sad that it got cancelled. Another show, the second one of my 2, is The Secret Circle, which this one I knew going into watching that. It's only 1 season before it was cancelled. I knew going into that season that there wasn't going to be any more, so at least I was prepared that it had been cancelled. Vampire Diaries is based on books by L.J. Smith, is it? And so is The Secret Circle. It's based on books by the same author. And this one follows witches. So if you know me, you know I love witches and witch stories, and I just thought this was a really enjoyable. So it's teen drama with witches, totally up my alley, and I was really sad that we didn't have any more than 1 season of that show. Question number 11 is your guilty pleasure shows. I don't really have guilty pleasure shows. I'm pretty open about anything that I enjoy, but shows that I enjoy that maybe aren't the type of shows that people talk about a lot is property shows. I love all shows like House Hunters and things like that. Shows about flipping houses, I've talked about obviously because I read their memoir Fixer Upper. Love shows like that. All of those type of shows I'm just really, really into. I'm also really into courtroom drama shows like Judge Judy and The People's Court, because apparently I just love watching other people be real petty. So yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I like it, but it's probably considered to be the guilty pleasure type of genre of TV. Question number 12 is, what shows are you currently watching? So I have quite a list for this. I've mentioned before on my channel, so I am quite a dedicated TV watcher. Once I start watching a show, I will watch everything that's available to me of that show without kind of going in and out of other shows. The problem with that is if I start to slump on a show, then I just will stop watching it and then I won't watch anything else. And so that happened to me with Gossip Girl. I have finished Gossip Girl now, but when I was watching that, I think it was in the 5th season, I didn't like kind of what was going on in the show and I just got a bit over it, and so I just stopped watching. And because of that, I didn't watch anything for like 2 years, which is frankly, I mean, obviously I watch like random episodes of like, you know, if there's an episode of Seinfeld on when I'm like at home and on TV, like I'll watch that, but there was no show that I was like dedicatedly kind of moving through. And so then I eventually finally finished Gossip Girl finally, and then I haven't watched anything since I finished that. As I mentioned, the next show I plan to finish is Glee. So Glee is the first one on the list. I've seen through season 4. I've got 2 seasons left to watch of that. I was also watching Once Upon a Time. I've seen only the first 3 seasons, and then, like I said, I fell out of watching the show, so I went on with it. I was watching, again, like I mentioned, Revenge. I haven't finished that yet. Again, I've watched the first 3 seasons. Like I said, I was kind of falling out of love with that show a little bit, but because the 4th season is the final one, I do plan to finish it. Scandal, again, I've watched 3 seasons. I was loving Scandal, so I'd love to, like, I think that's finished now, is it? I'm not even sure. But I'd love to get back into that. I was watching The Following. I can't remember how much of that I've seen. I'd have to figure that out. Maybe 2 seasons? Maybe I was only in the 2nd season. I'm not sure. I was also watching True Blood, like I mentioned. Haven't seen the final season. I was also watching Elementary, the Sherlock Holmes one with Lucy Liu. I was also watching Sleepy Hollow. I think, had I only seen the 1st season of that? Again, maybe 2 seasons, I'm not sure. I was also, another show that I'm a big fan of is Law & Order SVU. And I was dedicatedly watching that kind of week to week. And then, but now I'm like 2 or 3 or even more seasons behind in that, I'm not sure. So I'm real behind in that. Other shows that I do plan to eventually watch, but I'm not like actively, like these are all shows that I was actively watching, and then when my slump happened, I just never went on with. But other shows that I started and then that I do plan to eventually watch and finish are Vampire Diaries. So that's a show that, as I mentioned before, was on TV, and I was watching it week to week when it was airing in the first, like, I think I've seen like the first season and a half, and then it changed nights, and the night that it moved to, I couldn't watch, and so I just never saw any more of it. Pretty Little Liars, again, I've seen maybe the first season, and I can't remember if it was first season or part of the first season. It changed nights, and then never got to see any more. Veronica Mars. Now, Veronica Mars, I've seen quite a lot of. I've seen the first 2 seasons and partway through the 3rd season. That's a show that I was watching with a friend of mine when I lived in Canberra, and then we just kind of fell out of time to watch it, and then I moved away, and so I never finished that show. I do really want to watch that because I really did love Veronica Mars, and I think it would be a favourite of mine if I ever finished it. But I do plan to, when I watch all of those, like Pretty Little Lies, I'm going to go back to the start of them and watch them through from the start because I don't remember enough of it. Is there any others? I think that might be it of the things that I've started. So it's a long list. There's like, what, like 12 shows there or something that are all shows that I have seen part of that I'm planning to finish because I just really love TV, and it's sad to me that in the last few years, like the last 5 years, I've watched so much less TV. So for like context, when I lived in Canberra, I didn't live close to family. I didn't have that many friends. Well, I don't really have that many friends now, but I didn't have that many friends when I lived there either. I was basically a hermit. I spent 90% of my time that I wasn't at work just at home by myself doing nothing but watching movies and TV. So I used to get through a lot more when I lived there. Now that I live in Adelaide and I have family who are close by and I spend a lot of time with my family, and I'm also involved in soccer here, that takes up a lot of my time. So I don't have anywhere near as much free time as I did, and obviously I read a lot, so that takes up a lot of my free time. So I mean, literally, since I've lived here, I've watched like 2 seasons of Gossip Girl, and that is it in 4 years. So, I don't know, I really, really need to get back on the TV watching train. So that was the television tag. I apologize, this was really rambly and all over the place, but I hope it gave you some insight into me and my television watching habits. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below. If you've got any of the same favorite TV shows or favorite ships as me, I would love to chat about that. Any shows that you really love. I have a list in my phone of shows that I want to watch eventually, and that list is literally, there's like 50 things on it. Like, there are so many TV shows in the past like 5 to 10 years that I'm interested in that I just haven't seen, which is just, and I don't know that I ever will with the amount of free time that I have currently, but I'm hopeful. So I'd love to chat in the comments down below about your favorites, if you like my favorites. I just would love to chat down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye, guys.